The future of wearable ultrasound would be just like Apple Watch, and we believe that we can provide the next version of ultrasound to bring the ultrasound technology to at-home use.
Hi everyone, my name is Irene and welcome to Oceanside Perspective's new series, Purpose, Why Medicine, where I speak to professionals in the healthcare industry who have found their purpose and want to share their unique journey, experiences, and learnings with our audience. I'm here today with Dr. Sai Zhou, founder and CEO of CircuCare, a MedTech startup developing a hands-free wearable ultrasound device that provides automated continuous medical imaging. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, Dr. Zhou has been a researcher, earning his master's and Ph.D. from UC San Diego. Dr. Zhou, thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me today.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Irene.
Yeah, of course. So I've provided a very broad overview of who you are, and now I want to hear from you about your journey to entrepreneurship and research. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I came from China, and in my fourth year of undergrad, I tried to apply for my master study in United States. And fortunately, I got offer from UC San Diego. And UC San Diego is well known by its biomedical or biology or generally engineering school. That's why I came here, and I tried to join Professor Shunqi's lab, which is focusing on the wearable ultrasound device, which is also, I think, is very interesting field. And at that time, Professor Shunqi's lab have already been leading in this field, and I saw lots of opportunities, and also very fascinated in the technology side. So I joined this lab as a volunteer, and after approaching to the end of my master, I asked Professor Xu to transfer from a master student to a PhD and fully working on the wearable ultrasound device. That's how I get involved in this field. And after I transferred to the PhD, my major focus is using the wearable ultrasound device we developed in our lab to monitor for cardiovascular applications, which is also one of the major applications of the biomedical ultrasound. And I was very fortunate to lead several projects on this field. And approaching to my fourth year or fifth year, I got two of my paper published. One is featured in Nature, is for wearable ultrasound device for brain monitoring and imaging. And another one just published recently in November 2024 is on blood pressure monitoring by using the wearable ultrasound device. So generally after the paper came out, we will receive a lot of expose and a lot of clinicians try to reach out to us and seek opportunity for collaborations. That's one part. Another part is that during my research, I collaborate a lot with those clinicians at the UC San Diego, like Hillcrest or Jacobs Medical Center, and also ACTRI around us on campus. Collaborated a lot with those clinicians, and I feel like there's really an unmet need for our technology. Lots of existing ultrasound device cannot do or is not suitable for specific disease monitoring, and that's why we came in. And people like this technology, and people would like to try this technology. That's also strengthened my belief on commercializing this technology. Fortunately, after my graduation, I incorporated my own company called CircuCare, and we are trying to commercialize this platform technology, mainly focusing on the cardiovascular field. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. You mentioned that the clinicians are especially interested in this new technology that you're developing. Could you talk a little bit more about collaborating with these clinicians?
Sometimes we reach out, or sometimes those clinicians reach out to us. So we collaborate on a specific clinical study or clinical trials to validate our device in real clinical use cases. Because we are like engineering background, we are using our device, we are building our device, fabricate our device, and test it on ourselves first. And that's some initial proof of concept. And we don't even know how it works on those real patients. And that's how we do those clinical trials with our collaborators. On the clinician side, they are passion driven. We are also interesting driven on the engineering side. We are collaborating pretty well, I think, even though from the clinician's point of view, doing research or doing those research studies is not their primary like goal in their career. They have some other full-time job. They have to like see the patients. They have to do their surgeries. So it's not doing those research is not their primary goal, but they always try to cooperate with us.
Yeah, so the clinicians are especially helpful in driving this impact forward.
Yeah. And they also give us a lot of feedbacks during those clinical trials. The goal is to try to iterate our device based on the feedback we got from clinicians, those healthcare providers, as well as the patients.
So recently you were chosen to be a member of the Forbes 30 under 30 list for 2025. How does that feel?
Oh, very fortunately, I think Forbes 30 under 30 has a group of people who are very passionate about what they are doing and they are willing to help. I Honestly, I just joined the Forbes 30 under 30 list, but I got lots of helps from those previous lister, and most of them are very outgoing. So I am in the science category. The process would be we nominate ourselves or ask some other people to nominate me or nominate us. And if your CV or your profile meets their first standard, they will put you into the candidates. And I was fortunate to be candidates in two parts. One is science category, another one is healthcare categories. And then some people reach out to me and ask me to provide more information about myself. And after that, fortunately, I got into the list. This is like a group of young people who are very passionate about what they're doing and truly think about changing the world. I have learned a lot from them, not only from like class of 2025 that we met in New York, and also some previous lister. It's incredible resources they can provide, and I'm very honored to be the lister.
Yeah, it sounds like an incredible group of people to be surrounded by.
I also very appreciate those people who nominate me, my mentor, as well as my previous lab mates.
And you've also recently won the Penner Bonney Award from UC San Diego's Institute for the Global Entrepreneur. And as you said, you got another paper published in Nature Biomedical Engineering. So congratulations on all of these accomplishments.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Penner Bonney Award, I was the candidate last year, and we had three candidates last year, and we all have 90 seconds to pitch in the IGE Showcase 2023. And that was very interesting. And I do feel that last year I still have a significant gap between me and the awardee. So very fortunate to be nominated again this year and won the award.
And so what do you think changed? What part of your pitch was better this year?
The major change is the evolution of myself as well as the company. So previously or last year in 2023, we haven't incorporated our company. We are in a idea phase, very, very early. And this year we made a lot of progress. We incorporated our company. We did a lot of reiteration of our product with also as well as our business plan, financial models. We got lots of helps. We got lots of help from IG mentors. We have learned a lot, we change a lot, we pivot a lot, and we gain lots of advice from those mentors and also some other advisors around the world. And finally, we evolved pretty fast and I guess that's probably one of the reasons why they choose me as the awardee.
If you could pick three mentors who have made a significant impact along your journey so far, who would they be?
Three mentor I want to mention is doing my Ph.D. So doing my study at UC San Diego. The first one is my PI, my previous PI, Professor Sheng Xu, and I was in his lab for almost 5 years, and I gained a lot of support, a lot of guidance from him, especially doing for the research and some philosophy knowledge. And the second mentor would be Amy from Rady School of Management. She was the first mentor on the business side for me, and she was the lecturer in the lab market class, and I got a lot of help from her, and the most of the help is encouragement, I think. She's very patient to guide you through the journey of to being an entrepreneur, to connect you with the necessary resources you need from an engineering perspective to jump into a entrepreneur part. We are kind of like most of the engineer, like me, I guess we were kind of stubborn because we believe the technology, we are working firsthand on the technology side. Sometimes it's not good for us to catch up new knowledge from the business perspectives. So at that stage, Amy helps me a lot. And also, Amy is also the one who nominated me for Penn Award last year. So I'm very fortunate to have a mentor like her. Third one is Michael Schilling. He is the current advisor for our company, and he has been so positive, so supportive for our company, also for my personal entrepreneur journey. I got lots of help from him. It's more like teach you how to fish. For example, during the National Science Foundation I Corp, he was the business advisor at that time. And it's more like he always teach you how to fish, teach you and let you figure out the results, figure out the answer by yourself, rather than just tell you what you need to do. And I feel like I have been trained to locate a problem. I'm trying to find ways to solve it from him a lot. And he also helped me connect to a lot of resources. We haven't never thought about it. So it's very fortunate to have such a business advisor as well as mentor, as well as a friend on our side.
Yeah, mentorship really makes such a big difference in our lives. And a common thread that I heard from your answers was that they provided support and connection to resources as well as guidance instead of just giving you the answer. So, having had so many mentors along your journey, you've had the opportunity to become a mentor yourself when you were a senior in your lab. So, what is your mentorship philosophy, and did you take any of the advice from your mentors and apply it to your mentorship philosophy?
Yeah, I always very fortunate to be a mentor. I'm very honored to be someone's mentor because it's like a commitment to the mentee. And I think I am doing well. I believe I'm doing well in this part because I got a lot of training about how to be a mentor from my previous mentors. And so as a research mentor, or not matter research mentor, some other entrepreneur mentor, I always trying to first be a friend because I am pretty young and we are all in same similar age with my mentee. So being friend is, I guess, the first step. Try to have not only working relationship, but also some personal relationship like a friends, and really put myself to into his or her shoes. I want to ask first, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What's your goal? Or it's not only like a life goal, research goal, but also some personal goals. And I try to give them the advice regarding on a philosophy part first. I do not directly provide some research guidance at the first glance. And after that, gradually, I will provide like in detailed guidance for example, the research part, how to do the testing, how to do the measurements, how to fabricate, so on and so forth, as well as entrepreneur part, how to find those investors, how to connect, how to pivot, something like that. The most thing I would say is that don't try to put something you think is good for you to your mentees because probably that part is not good for him or her.
That reminds me of a conversation I had recently with Dr. Akari, a different guest on the podcast, and she said a quote that I hadn't heard before where when the person's ready, the teacher shows up. How do you think mentees can find the right mentor and vice versa? How do you think mentors pick the right mentee?
Most of the time, we choose mentor or mentee by ourselves, like both of us. Mentees choose their mentors, mentors choose their mentees. Most of the time, we share similar tastes, we share similar goals, we share similar personal preference, something like that. We have some connections between us. That's how I did that. And I did feel like sometimes we may have some wrong people, wrong connections, but we just try to pivot as fast as we can and try to change because people like my age, the most thing we have is time. So we have time to change, we have time to pivot. Just do these things fast.
So, having been on both sides of research and entrepreneurship, what do you think the relationship is between them and how are they linked?
The first thing is about find out new knowledge. That's more science perspective. And the second thing is try to solve problems. That's more on engineering perspective. And I think in research, R&D is mainly focused on those understanding fundamental aspects of science and engineering. However, for entrepreneur with technical background, we are more focusing on the product R&D. And this is aimed to apply those knowledge or like technology knowledge gained from like basic research to develop new products and or improve those existing products. And this is driven by the market need and also the commercial goals. So we have been so from the research or science perspective, we're trying to find out new things, try to always trying to build new things because science is more about innovation. For the entrepreneur perspective, building up products, we are market needs driven. The major part is most of the fundamental science or engineer have been done in the lab or in when you were a researcher. And this fundamental science engineering can then guide you to do the product R&D. This is the kind of like a first step. And for a company side, we always want to do engineering work to iterate, to improve, or to build up new product based on the needs. So we more pivot to the real world applications.
Yeah, I think in our previous discussion that you mentioned research and entrepreneurship, they fundamentally have different goals. Like for research, a lot of it, especially if you're researching like the basics or a concept, it's not exactly applicable to the market or what's the need out there. And yeah, I think that was really interesting, especially seeing that there are some aspects of research that can be applied. So it might just be the difference there. It's like, can there be a direct impact more quickly?
Yeah, not all research can be directly applied to finally a product or a startup company. It all depends on the needs in the market.
Yeah, so what do you think is the typical research to market timeline? Is it relatively long or is it dependent?
It really depends. That's a good question. So I guess I have seen a lot of examples from maybe 2 years, 3 years to about more than 10 years, 15 years, something like that. Really depends on how much time you put on commercialization. There are several ways to commercialize your product. First way is you are a PI. You have your full-time job to teaching, to do research, doing research or mentor PhDs and masters to do postdocs to do research. You do not have much time on the commercialization. And you may do it by yourself, or you work with your students, or you work with some outside services to help you build startups. And this part, I guess, the transition may last for about 5 or 6 years or even longer. And that's mainly because you cannot put too much time on the entrepreneur part or commercialization part. Another way is you might have some good candidates who can run the company or do the commercialization for you, and you can stay back, provide those guidance to be a good scientific advisor to the company. Most of the things will be done either by some outside resources, some like experienced CEO, or your students who are really interesting and have the talent to manage the company. And this might move the commercialization pathway faster, transition faster. Also really depends on technology. Some technology is very hard to, very has a lot of challenge to be commercialized. I guess usually at this example I have seen, it takes about 3 or 4 years or 5 years. Last thing, it's also the most risky thing is that someone all in this, someone put all their life on this commercialization part. And this will move the commercialization transition much, much faster. And it may take about 2 or 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've chosen to be both on the research side and the entrepreneurship side. So what made you want to lead the organization instead of being an advisor, like you said?
I think I am choosing the third one or most risky one. I doing full-time CEO for the company right now. Yeah.
Oh, I see, I see. Why did you make that choice instead of the other two?
I see the future of this technology, and I do believe this technology can help a lot of stakeholders, healthcare providers, insurance companies, as well as patients at large. So we do want to apply this technology as early as possible. And especially we are talking on cardiovascular diseases. A lot of our relatives, friends, and family may have this kind of diseases. So this kind of device or this kind of technology really have a future to be applied to your family one day. Then why don't you make it faster? That's why I jump into a full-time commercialization part.
So let's talk about the technology a little bit then. Could you provide an overview of the history of ultrasound technology in medicine?
Sure. So ultrasound is just a technology based on the mechanical sound waves, and it has been used in industry for a very, very long time. And since 1960, ultrasound has been first used in biomedical field for cardiac imaging. That's pretty much first or some early applications for using the biomedical ultrasound. And at that time, it's just like a personal computer, first version personal computer. Huge room, big machine, bulky stuff, bulky equipment, all about lots of wires, and you have been trained so well to tune all different buttons at right, all different knobs at right position, then you can finally get a image. That's like what happens in 1960s. And since 1990s, first version of like card-based or trolley-based ultrasound system or ultrasound machine has been invented. Leading company would be Siemens and Philips and GE. So those companies have built their first version or some early versions, trolley-based ultrasound machines. And this allows those ultrasonographer, they call it, or some technicians, to use the ultrasound probe to get the image on the patient's organs, like cardiac or some other organs, on the bedside. Nowadays, you can also see this version because this is very standard version and has been widely used in clinical practice. Third version of biomedical ultrasound is based on those handheld ultrasound probes. So they further shrink the size, just like from personal computer to your personal phone, like iPhone, Samsung. You have a very small version of handheld ultrasound probe, and the clinicians or ultrasonographer hold the probe to do the imaging, and the probe either have a cable to connect to your smart device like phone, laptop, or like iPad, or they communicate by using wireless transfer.
Yeah, so it seems like with most things, as you said, that the trend is going smaller. And with CircuCare's product, it's even smaller. It's like the size of a penny, if we can put up a picture for that right now. It's really small, right? Is that for convenience sake? And there's also a trend towards less and less training as well, right? Necessary to operate it. Why do you think that is?
That's actually our goal. So we want to further shrink the size to make it a truly automatic device with AI integrated. So our goal is let the patients themselves to do the device to use the device rather than requires the additional clinicians. That save a lot of logistic burdens as well as relocate those medical resources because right now the ultrasonographer in clinical field, at least in US, is rare. Lots of time patients cannot get the ultrasound scan done because there's not enough clinicians. That's why that's the problem we want to solve. And we believe that we can provide the next version of ultrasound to bring the ultrasound technology mainly used in clinics to at home use. That's also can benefit more people.
So the standard of care is currently using those handheld Dopplers in ultrasounds, right? So what are the inherent limitations or inefficiencies that we're encountering? You mentioned like there's labor costs, but what else is there?
Yeah, there are, I guess we can categorize it into three views, three different parts. The first part is if you require a clinician or ultrasonographer to use it, it is a handheld probe. It cannot last longer. It can only last for about a couple minutes, at the most 10 to 15 minutes. And the final results we got probably just few snapshots or a short video with about 100 frames. And it lost a lot of information outside of this monitoring or testing period, especially for those patients after surgery have a highly dynamic cardiovascular systems. And this is the first limitation, short-term snapshots. They can only provide short-term snapshots. And second thing is about the labor cost, the training cost, and also the operation cost I mentioned previously. And the third one is those machines, handheld ultrasound probes, are highly operator dependent. to understand easier, just like different ultrasonographer gonna use the machine, gonna use the probe at different angles and with different forces at different positions. It turns out the results they got are highly different, has a huge variations. And even though a trained ultrasonographer with maybe more than 20 years experience, finally it turns out the day one they measured at this location, day two they probably aiming at different angles, and the results may have some variations. That's to be easy to understand. That's we call different hands, different results, and it has also been a dramatic burden in current biomedical ultrasound field.
So not only is wearable technology reducing the burden on the clinicians, it's also reducing the cost for the patients. Is that right?
Basically, we can provide longitudinal monitoring. So patients can potentially wear our device to do any different kinds of daily activities. They are free to go, free to be discharged from the clinics. So give them more freedom to enjoy their lives and also be confident because their hemodynamic status has been monitored by our device as well as the clinicians.
And the wearable ultrasounds, they can do basically everything that the current ultrasound standards can do. The parameters are the same that can be measured.
Yes.
Got it. So it's just allowing the patient to be a lot more mobile and have more information at their fingertips, essentially.
Yeah.
So how long can the wearable that you're developing last? And can they be reused, or how does that work?
Based on our initial trials, when I was researching in my lab, as well as based on our reports in the paper, the device can last for more than 24 hours or even longer. And we have been trying to iterate our product to make it last longer on the patient body. So right now, I think the device, at least test on myself, can last for maybe 7 days, a week.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so when can we expect this technology to be ready for commercialization?
So we do have a clear timeline on our products. So we hope to commercially launch the device by the end of 2026 or early 2027. You can probably purchase the device, hopefully use it, especially for those clinicians. You probably can use it in your clinical practice and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that actually coming into practice in clinical settings. What startup stage is CircuCare at? You mentioned that you passed ideation and prototyping. So what stage are you guys at right now?
Yeah, so basically we incorporate CircuCare this year, and I truly involved to be a full-time CEO since October this year. So it just has been about 2 to 3 months. And even though right now we're still in very early stage, the thing we want to do right now is to get our product R&D done. So to like iterate from a prototype to a final product needs a lot of engineering work. And also collaborating with those clinicians to gain their feedbacks.
Yeah, so what does the future of wearable ultrasounds look like to you?
So I guess the future of wearable ultrasound would be just like Apple Watch, or it depends if those people have some potential of cardiovascular diseases, but not only for cardiovascular diseases, some other diseases that can be detected or monitored based on ultrasound machines. Then we can jump in and the patients can use our device and for early warning and post-operative care, so on and so forth, and use those devices at home, and they have more control on their life and be confident because all the metrics in their body, at least for the disease part, have been measured or monitored by our device.
So, circling back to the name of the podcast, which is Purpose, that's our central theme, is the purpose or the why behind what you do. What is your why, and what drives you to get out of bed every morning?
Yeah, so I guess as I mentioned previously, I always enjoying understanding myself first, and after that, I hope to give away or provide a solution for general people to understand themselves better. So it's more like a philosophy way. So we all have a goal to understand why me, why I'm here. So understand the body is just like a first step of understand ourselves. After you understand your body, you can better control your body and you can avoid a lot of serious diseases, cancers, and cardiovascular diseases. Those all comes from some small habits, some not very healthy small habits, and you do not pay attention to it over years, then it turns out the very severe diseases. And if you understand this, if if the body cannot give you feedbacks, or body itself it does give you feedbacks, but you probably sometimes we do not pay attention to that. But if there's a way to provide you early like diagnosis or early management of your body, let you know the status of your body, and give you some guidance of how to better manage your body.
Yeah, sounds like information is power, and you're giving that power back to the patient themselves. Yeah, that's awesome. So, what last piece of advice would you like to leave our audience with?
So I guess based on my personal experience, I think I pretty much enjoy what I'm doing. And that's also the resource to support me to do all these kind of things. I think I can share some my personal thoughts about what I'm doing and why I choose it. The major point is we want to find something we truly like to do. We want to find something we have a talent to do so. We have some gifts to do so. We can do better on this field than any other people. And third would be it can really benefit the society. And if someone trying to find a goal, then probably you can use those criteria to do some brainstorming and analysis. That's also not my standard. That's also from some other famous people's standard. I just learn from them and hope everybody can also try to learn and try to learn from people around you. So call back to the mentor and mentee relationship. I think mentor is also the way to learn from your mentee, and you can figure out how to be a better mentor. And you can also figure out sometimes mentee can also be a mentor in some certain cases and help you to do better.
You recommend to find something that you're passionate about, something that you're probably good at, and something that will make an impact. And then having that mutual relationship between mentor and mentee, you can learn a lot from having those relationships. So during this conversation, we've reflected on your journey to research and entrepreneurship, the impact of mentorship on all of our lives, and the revolutionary technology that is wearable ultrasounds. As this interview comes to a close, I have one last question for you. If you could, what's something that you would like to tell your younger self?
Personally, I do not have any, most of the time, I do not have much regrets. I didn't do that. I haven't got a chance to do something. So I guess the thing I want to talk to my younger ages would be to be yourself and to feel the happiness around you and always be positive. And that's also what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview, Dr. Zhou, and I wish you and CircuCare all the best.
Thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you.
Remember to like and subscribe if you like this video, if you want more content like this, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below about what questions you want answered about the field of medicine.